Hi, I'm Jeremy from International Sportsman. Today I'm looking at the Bear Creek Arsenal 17 HMR upper. 17 HMR is one of my favorite calibers to shoot, and as soon as it was announced, I went and placed an order for one. I'm so glad I did because this thing is freaking awesome and shoots like a dream. So they have a couple of different options now as far as barrel lengths and that kind of stuff. This one here is the 16-inch version. It is threaded, comes with a flash hider on the end here. Although I take that off and use a suppressor in my testing. It is a chrome moly barrel. The upper is a 1-in-9 twist, has a 10-round magazine. You do have to replace the buffer and the spring in your lower for it to work. However, Bear Creek does include that in the kit. The magazine is not included in the kit, but they're only about 24 bucks, so it's easy to pick up a couple extra magazines. Besides the fact that it's my favorite caliber, one of the things that drew me to this upper was the price. At a little under 350 bucks, it's really inexpensive for what you're getting. So other 17 HMR uppers on the market are over $1,000. So I was really curious to see how it would do as far as accuracy goes. Well, as you'll see in the range footage in a moment, it does not disappoint. This thing is freaking cool. But before we get to the range testing, let's go over some of the features and the specs of this upper. So as you can see, it's a side charging upper. The charging handle right here on the side of the bolt is removable, but you have to undo that screw in order to be able to remove it. Once that's unscrewed, then you can unscrew this little screw on the back of the upper. This is where your charging handle would normally be, is back here, but this keeps the bolt from hitting the back and slamming into this charging handle if it bottoms out on the buffer. Once that's removed, you can slide the bolt all the way out. Now, what's interesting is on the bolt, the gas key is actually backwards from a normal AR bolt. They did that, I think, so that it would actually hit this bolt on the back of the upper, and then it would keep it from slamming into the charging handle and potentially breaking that charging handle. One of the things that really impressed me about this was right out of the box, I didn't put any lubrication on it whatsoever. It was bone dry, and it stayed that way throughout all of my testing. I shot about 7 boxes of 17 HMR ammo through it, and if you don't know, that's about 50 rounds a box. And it had 2 malfunctions. Both of those malfunctions were that it caught the brass before it had fully ejected. Everything on the upper is made by Bear Creek here in the United States. Now, the magazine is not made by them. The magazine is actually made by Black Dog Machine. It is very light, holds 10 rounds. I never had any issues with the magazine feeding or working in any of the lowers that I tried. The upper itself, it has an M-LOK rail. It does come with a muzzle device on the front of it, a flash hider. It is threaded 1/2 by 28 if you want to use a silencer on it. The silencer that I'm going to be using is the Bowers Group Icon. That is their 22 silencer that's also rated for 17 HMR as well as some other calibers. It's quite a silencer that I've tested, so I thought that it would be fitting to test on this new upper. One of the things that I was most curious about was how this upper would perform in the field from an accuracy standpoint and from a reliability standpoint, since it is so inexpensive. I'm going to cut to the chase. You can watch the range footage come up next, but I'm just going to say that I'm thoroughly impressed with it. Accuracy wise, you'll see in the footage coming up, it really speaks for itself. This thing was shooting under a 1/4 inch groups sometimes with certain ammo types. All right, so I've been playing with the Bear Creek Arsenal 17 HMR upper. I've got it on a Griffin Armament lower with the ATN-X sight. I'm gonna be using the Bowers Icon. I'm shooting just the regular 17 grain Hornady VMAX ammo. What's interesting is that I found that you don't have to use the 17 HMR that's designed for semis. It cycles just fine without any issues. I've run, almost a whole box through this gun already. But we're just going to show you what all we've got going on as far as the setup and how it all works together. One thing that's interesting about this gun is the threads. I think they're a little too long for most silencers. The threads are really long. They don't have to be this way. They could be the same length as like a 22 barrel. They're pretty long. Now the Bowers works just fine without any issues because of the way it's designed, but I think some other silencers might bottom out before you actually get to the end of the threads. Magazine's super light, holds 10 rounds. We're already loaded up here, so we're gonna get to shooting. And it holds open on the last shot. There you go. Let's go take a look at how the target looks. I previously zeroed it at roughly 50 yards, so I knew I was going to be a little high. Couldn't really see it through the scope, but if you look closer, I had 2 flyers here. Those might have been me pulling it. But out of the 10 shots, everything else was within an inch group, maybe even a little bit tighter than an inch. 2 flyers, like I said. Obviously, I'm not zeroed at 100. I was zeroed a little bit closer, but man, I think that's pretty darn good. If you come over here on the right-hand side, see if there's no rear charging handle. It's only this oversized side charger here. That's it. That's all there is to it. Pretty straightforward. So the bolt hold open does work. But what's interesting is that if you see, it's actually in front of the round. So if you load the magazine in, you can't just let it go and it actually load around. You still have to rack it. Now when it is on empty, it'll hold open on the magazine and then it'll just go all the way forward. The bolt catch won't stop it, but you can pull it open, like if you're at a range or something, want to show that you're safe, and it'll show that little 1/4 of an inch there where it's held open. We got 3 different lots of the ammo that we shot. These 2 lots were pretty close to each other, but they were still different lots of ammo. You saw in the group size that we had a few flyers and different things going on. Well, this is what a 17 HMR case should look like on the back. We had some, if you can tell, where it's puffed up a little bit from the pressure. Some of them are worse than others, but you can see that they're not completely flat. Now what's interesting is, again, this is rimfire. Here we've got a cracked case from the pressure, right? And it's got a little bit of a puff in the back. It's 17 HMR, it is a very accurate round, but you're never gonna have 100% accuracy like you would with centerfire, say a puff and a crack. Most of the cases were flat, no cracks, 0 issues, and it seems like those are the ones that had the best group sizes, because we did have a couple of groups that were within an inch. pulled that one. I'm out. Okay, so I think I zeroed it in, tightened it up a little bit. Can't really tell because there's little small pinholes of this 17 HMR down there. I think I might be a little to the right. I know that I pulled a couple of them, but let's see if that group's a little bit tighter than the last group that we just shot. My zero looks to be on point here. Still not as good as that first group. That first group was good. By the way, this was a flyer from that last one where I said that I pulled it really bad. I knew I pulled it. We've got some wind gusting out here. I mean, you can see, I mean, the wind's blowing pretty good out here. So some of these might be because of the wind a little bit, but you know, if you look at this group here, you know, what is that? About 1.5 inches, maybe? Maybe a little less. You know, not the inch group that we had up here, but the wind's gusting pretty strong and I got in a hurry. So much better than the previous group. But yeah, so the gun is easily capable of shooting an inch group at 100. You can see, see the wind blowing pretty good out here. 17 HMR is one of my favorite calibers because it's so easy to shoot hogs with and not ruin the rest of your hunt. This one was done right before daylight while I was out deer hunting. As you can see, one shot drops it just like at the first of this video. So that's a look at the Bear Creek Arsenal 17 HMR upper. They do have several different versions of this on their website. They've got an SBR version that has a little bit shorter barrel. I thought this was the best one all around. You don't give up the velocity by going short. It doesn't have a bright stainless barrel, so it's not super flashy for carrying out in the woods. And 17 HMR is just, it's a lot of fun to shoot, honestly. It's almost as quiet as a 22. It's super accurate, and I enjoy it. I'm gonna keep on enjoying it for years. For the rest of this season, I'm gonna keep carrying it out to the field and try to get a few more hogs with it, maybe something else. But it's a lot of fun, guys, and check it out. I mean, it's $350. I mean, how can you really go wrong? I mean, it performs flawlessly. For more information, for more photos, make sure to check out our article on internationalsportsman.com. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button at the bottom and give us a like. We'd really appreciate that. And follow us on Facebook. We'll see you next time.